Give you a quick update on the campaign, but just to introduce a couple people here that I want to make sure you all know. Justin, where are you?
Right here.
Okay, Justin is our campaign manager. He and his wife Kendra, who's also here, just moved up here from Des Moines. So please, welcome them to Minnesota. There's Kendra right here.
Woo!
Micah right over here. Micah Olson is working on the campaign full time. He spends every minute of every day in the office here. So you will be hearing from him, and I want to make sure you know him. And there are also a ton of other really key people to the campaign. I'm not going to start that process here, but just know that I really appreciate everything you do. My dad is here from Detroit Lakes. He just got here. And, I think you all know Sandy, but you can't do this without a spouse who supports you and loves you no matter what you screw up on, and Sandy's awesome. So I have learned from experience that campaigns are just a long adventure of highs and lows. And sometimes very high highs and very low lows, and sometimes they happen on the same day. And it's just day in and day out. And by the way, you hope that your lowest low happens at some point before Election Day. But you know me, and my goal is to always stay about here and not get too excited with the highs or too disappointed with the lows. Having said that, 10 months into this race, this week has been the culmination, actually this day is the culmination of the best week we've had in the entire 10 months of this campaign, and the end of the best month we've had in the entire 10-month campaign that we've had. So I'm glad you could be part of that. And it started out on January 1st, we finished up what we were very happy with as a fundraising total. Those numbers are going to come out next week. We've had several really good debates and forums in these first few weeks of the year, and we've won a couple of straw polls. We have brought in a bunch, even before Matt's announcement a couple days ago, we were bringing in people, some really key people that we have been fighting to get for months, and all of a sudden they're starting to come in, and that felt great. We had the Star Tribune poll, which if you look at the people who are actually in the race, I'm 23 points above the person in the number 2 spot. And then of course on Thursday, my friend Matt Dean dropped out of the race and didn't just throw his support behind me, but actually he and Laura and his team, or much of his team, are enthusiastically on board and are going to be involved. And we're going to be able to take that momentum all the way to the endorsement and then all the way to November after that. And so I am just glad that you're all here and be a part of that. I just want to share one quick story with you. Some of you have heard this story because I've shared it a few times in the last couple weeks, but I think it gives a great indication of how important this race is, so it's worth repeating. I was out Christmas shopping for Sandy a couple days before Christmas last month, and I was at Ridgedale, and I was in one of the stores and I saw someone that I knew. And so I went up and said hi to her, and we exchanged Merry Christmases, and she introduced me to the woman who was on the other side of the counter from her, who was helping her. Her name was Rebecca. And she wasn't what you would consider a typical conservative Republican voter by demographic. She was maybe 22 or 23 years old. She kind of had a goth look to her. She had long black hair with some purple in it and dark lipstick and lots of earrings in places that weren't ears. And my friend introduced me and said, "This is Jeff Johnson, he's running for governor." And she said, "Oh, I know you. I saw your commercial where you bust up the party at the governor's mansion," which was our announcement video. And she said, "I'm going to vote for you." And I hate to admit I was surprised by that, but I was a little surprised by that because she's not your typical Republican voter. And so I engaged her a little bit and we talked, and I eventually asked her, what was it about that video that made you interested in the campaign? And she said, "Well, I've never voted before." She said, "We probably disagree on a lot of things like abortion and LGBT stuff," and kind of went on down the list of things that we did disagree on. But she said, "That stuff doesn't matter to me all that much because I'm a single mom. I've got a 6-year-old daughter." She said, "We live in kind of a crappy apartment in Minneapolis. I send her to the school down the street, which isn't a very good school. It's not in a very safe neighborhood, but I can't afford to give her anything better than that." She said, "I work this job full-time, and then I work a lot of nights as a waitress at a bar, so my daughter spends most of her time either with her grandma or an in-home daycare that I'm not real excited about, but, based on what government can help with, That's all I can give her. And she said, all that matters to me in my life is that she doesn't turn out like I did. Which, you know, kind of makes your heart skip a beat, right? She said, I just want everything that's gone wrong in my life to go right for her, and I want her to have opportunities that I never had. And I heard you in your commercial, she kept calling it a commercial, I heard you in your commercial say that you're not going to get distracted by all these little political fights that go on, and you want to give people a little more control over their lives, and what matters to you most is that every single person in Minnesota has a better opportunity for a better life. And I actually believe you. She said, and that's all that matters to me. And that's what we get to give to people when we win in November. We get to give them opportunity, we get to give them freedom, we get to give them a little bit more hope than what they have right now. And not to be too partisan, but the DFL has become so focused on these fringy issues that most Minnesotans don't care about. They've completely lost track of what matters to people who are struggling in this state, and there are so many people who are struggling in this state. That's why I am so excited for this campaign, because I really believe if we can get that message out with somebody who can actually reach non-Republicans, not just Republicans, we're not only going to win in November, but I think more importantly, we are going to be able to make life better in real ways for millions of Minnesotans like Rebecca. And you know, I'm excited. I feel like the momentum is not just with us, but I don't remember being in a campaign where I felt like we had more momentum at one point than we do right now. And I appreciate everything you're doing and everything you're going to do, and I will get in trouble if I don't make a couple asks of you here. Yeah, sorry, just the biggest ask I have of you, yeah, you too, Greg, don't worry, I'll ask for money. The biggest ask I have for you, though, is caucus is 10 days away. And my guess is hopefully everybody in this room is going to go to caucus. Hopefully you will all speak up for me in your precinct. You'll vote for me in the straw poll, and you'll run for delegate. But I have a bigger ask of you. Please do that, but then please talk to everybody you know over the next 10 days and get them to come too. And if they're willing to come and run for delegate, that's fantastic. But if they're not comfortable with that, just have them come and vote in the straw poll. Because doing well in that straw poll is going to be important in keeping the momentum going through the next month and actually several months until the endorsement. So please do that. You can do that on your own. You can do that through us by making some phone calls or just sending out emails to your friends. But anything you can do in that end is great, because that will be our focus going forward. But, Greg, I'm always raising money too, so I can't just leave that be. If you haven't used your PCR for 2018, if you used it in 2017, you can do it again. $50 a person, $100 a couple. If you haven't done that and can, we can accommodate you today, and we would love to have you do that. So with that, thank you all so much, and we are going to have a great year and change people's lives in Minnesota. Thank you.